He's one of literature's most legendary troublemakers, a character who, for generations, has practically defined American boyhood. So today, let's do a deep dive and really dissect the legend himself, Tom Sawyer.
We're, of course, talking about Mark Twain's classic novel, a book that's been shaping our whole idea of what it means to be a kid in America for, almost 150 years now? It's this huge cornerstone of literature, but what exactly is it that makes its main character so unforgettable?
Well, what's really interesting is that Twain himself wrote in the preface that this isn't just a book for kids. Nope. He designed it to be a mirror for adults. A way to remember all the mischief, the big adventures, and just the way it felt to be young.
So where in the world did a character this vivid even come from? Was Tom Sawyer a real person? Well, as it turns out, Mark Twain kind of gave us the answer himself.
And here it is, Twain's big confession. Tom isn't based on just one person. He's a composite character, a mashup of 3 real boys from Twain's own childhood in Hannibal, Missouri. So he's not just one kid, he's kind of the ultimate kid, all rolled into one.
And when you combine all those real-life traits, what you get is a boy who is an absolute master of getting into and, maybe more importantly, out of trouble. Let's see how this kid operates. The very first word of the book is his name being yelled, "Tom!" And no answer. Right from the jump, we see this constant cat and mouse game he plays with his long-suffering guardian, Aunt Polly. So when she finally catches him, jam literally all over his face, what does he do? He pulls the oldest trick in the book. He yells, "Look behind you, Aunt!" And in that split second, he's over the fence and gone. And you just know Aunt Polly is left there, half furious, half laughing. And his cleverness, it's just relentless. He almost gets away with skipping school to go swimming, but his little tattletale of a half-brother, Sid, spots a tiny mistake. His shirt collar's been sewn back on, but with the wrong color thread. It's a tiny detail, right? But for a con artist like Tom, the details are everything. So, what really makes Tom Sawyer tick? I mean, if you had to put together a profile, this is it. He's an orphan who hates, and I mean hates, work. But he's also incredibly charming, super clever, and has this unquenchable thirst for adventure. Oh, and he's always ready for a fight. In short, he is the ultimate lovable rogue.
Okay, so how do all these pieces of his personality come together? Well, we can see it all play out perfectly in what is, without a doubt, his most legendary moment, the Great Fence Keeper.
So after getting his clothes completely filthy in a fight, Tom gets sentenced to a full Saturday of hard labor, whitewashing this absolutely massive fence. For a kid who hates work more than anything, this is pretty much the worst punishment imaginable. So just as his friends are starting to show up, ready to make fun of him, he doesn't give up. Instead, in this dark and hopeless moment, a light bulb goes off. A truly brilliant, magnificent idea. And what he comes up with, well, it's a 4-step masterclass in reverse psychology. First, he's going to reframe the job, not as a chore, but as this amazing artistic privilege. Then he creates exclusivity. Oh, not just anyone can do this. Then he pretends he doesn't want to give up the brush. And finally, the masterstroke. He lets other kids pay him for the right to do his work. And oh boy, does it work. The very first kid to come by, Ben Rogers, shows up pretending to be a steamboat, all ready to laugh at him. But after watching Tom paint with the intense focus of a true artist, Ben goes from mocking him to literally begging for a chance to try. Before you know it, Tom is just relaxing in the shade, munching on an apple, while he collects this massive treasure trove of worldly wealth. We're talking marbles, a kite, even a dead rat on a string. All from a long line of boys who are thrilled to pay for the privilege of doing his chore. And the result? It is a spectacular success. By the middle of the afternoon, that fence doesn't just have 1 coat of whitewash, it has 3. So not only did he get out of doing the work, but the job actually got done better than anyone could have imagined. He turned his punishment into a total triumph. Okay, so what does a kid with this much free time and this much ingenuity do with the rest of his world? Well, he fills it with non-stop action. He's always up for a good brawl with the new kid in town. But he's also a natural-born leader. He's the general of an imaginary army that wages these epic, make-believe battles right in the middle of the village square. And, of course, there's romance. The second he lays eyes on the new girl, Becky Thatcher, he falls instantly, head over heels, in love. The only problem?
He completely forgets all about Amy Lawrence, the girl he spent months winning over and promised to love forever just last week. Classic Tom.
But here's the thing. That whole fence story, it's more than just a clever trick. Twain uses it to get at a really profound truth about human nature, a truth that, honestly, applies to every single one of us.
See, Tom, in that moment of inspiration, he accidentally stumbled upon what Twain calls a great law of human action. It's this simple but incredibly powerful idea that separates work from play, and it all boils down to one word: obligation. Twain points out that rich guys in England would actually pay for the privilege of driving stagecoaches for fun. But if you offered to pay them a salary to do it, suddenly it would become work and they'd quit. The big idea here is that just making something difficult to get is often the only thing you need to do to make people desperately want it.
It's such a timeless insight into our own psychology, and it really leaves us with a final question for ourselves, doesn't it? Tom Sawyer figured out how to reframe his whole world over a century ago. How do we do it today?